CAAPA. CAAPA's production of An Endangered Species, musical tribute to Shirley Chisholm. But first, let's watch a video to learn a little more about the nonprofit organization known as CAAPA.
The Coalition for African Americans in the Performing Arts, better known as CAAPA, is helping to bring color to the classics. We do that in a variety of different ways through the CAAPA cause. If you think of our acronym, CAAPA, that stands for Community Outreach, Arts Education, Audience Development, Performance Opportunities, and Arts Partnerships to help bring color to the classics. But how do we do that, you ask? We do it through a variety of different programs for all ages and backgrounds. Our Opera for Fun youth outreach program is designed to provide opportunities for young people from pre-K all the way up to 12th grade. We have the Mini Mozart Masterclass, the Figaro Opera program, and so much more. Our music scholarships provide scholarships for graduating high school seniors in 12th grade who want to pursue a music career. They're able to perform in our performance showcase to be able to earn money to take them further in their life. Our Masterclass series actually partners with historically Black colleges and universities across the nation. We bring in music masters to provide a service to those music students in each one of those HBCUs. Our performance series offers an opportunity for Black classical musicians to perform throughout the year in a variety of different concerts, including two of our most popular, which is Soprano Slay and Men in Black, Mozart, Motown, and more.
Bringing color to the classics.
Our Meet the Composer series is a seminar workshop that is brought to the community with contemporary modern-day composers. Audience members have an opportunity to hear them up close and personal, to meet them and to understand their inspiration, their technique, and how they were able to provide their compositions. Our Sing for Seniors outreach program and recital series goes into nursing homes, assisted living, hospice situations, community centers to provide free recitals to the community. Our international outreach program is a program that takes us across the land where we are partnering with our embassy partners and consulate generals and so forth to bring people of color to this area. City Connect is a program that was launched in Philadelphia, and now we're going to cities throughout the nation to help underwrite aspiring, emerging, and professional Black classical musicians in presenting concerts. Star Development, the career development program that was designed, is there to provide the business part of show business for singers and musicians. We help them hone their skills, do auditions, do the resume writing, and just taking care of their business part in their development of their career. Our CAAPA Camp, where children come together in an intensive performance arts that includes dance, drama, visual arts, and of course, music. Won't you join the CAAPA cause and help bring color to the classics?
And now, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage CAAPA's Executive Director, Terry Allen.
Good evening, everyone. Give yourselves a big hand. I hope everyone enjoyed their Thanksgiving. And it's such a good time to give thanks, isn't it? And thank you for being here this evening. On behalf of CAAPA, the Board of Directors, Pamela Simonson, co-founder, and her brother Victor Simonson, I'd like to welcome everyone. And as you saw in the video, our slogan is what we're doing. We're bringing color to the classics. So I'd like to ask all of you at this time to help me in sharing what we are doing. What are we doing? Color to the classics. Now turn to your neighbor and say, what are we doing? bringing color to the classics. And turn to your other neighbor on the other side. What are we doing? Bringing color to the classics. Thank you so much. And come back on December the 13th. It's a Friday evening. We're doing another show here called Handel, Hamilton, and Holiday Songs here at the Millennium stage. Thank you so much. I'll talk to you later, and enjoy the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome this afternoon's MC, radio show personality in the WHUR and Washington, D.C.'s icon, Jackie Gills Webb.
Thank you so much for coming out tonight. It is such an honor and privilege to be here at the Kennedy Center for CAAPA, bringing color to the classics. Today, we honor the life and legacy of Shirley Anita Chisholm, the first African-American Congresswoman. We honor her with music and dance and inspiration. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey through her impressive life. Shirley Chisholm was elected in 1968 to represent a newly reapportioned U.S. House district centered in Brooklyn, New York. Her roots were in the Bedford-Stuyvesant neighborhood. Amen. We have some New Yorkers in the house. Shirley Chisholm was a strong, outspoken black woman who was unbought and unbossed.
The United States Constitution stipulates that anyone that is 35 years of age or over and is a natural-born citizen can run for the presidency. All of us meet that criteria. The people will make a decision.
Because of what they had heard and felt about me. Of course, the media said she's a fighting woman. She doesn't take anything from anybody. So I think they saw I was coming down there really to take them on immediately.
Does not mean putting the air to the ground to follow public opinion, but to have the vision of what is necessary and the courage to make it possible. We Americans are all fellow countrymen, one day confronting the judgment of history in our country. We are all God's children, and the will of each of us is as precious as the will of the most powerful general or corporate millionaire.
Two other women that influenced me a great deal. Mary McLeod Bethune, she said to me, "You're smart, you're a very smart girl, but you must stand and fight." Eleanor, the moment she opened her mouth, you felt a warmth. It was beautiful. And she said to me, "Shirley St. Hill," is my maiden name, "Shirley St. Hill, you're very smart, you're intelligent, you must fight, you must get up and don't let anybody stay in your way. Even a woman can do it."
The court ordered redistricting that carved a new Brooklyn congressional district out of Bedford-Stuyvesant inspired her to run for Congress. Shirley Chisholm faced 3 African-American challengers. She campaigned through the new district in a sound truck that pulled up outside housing projects while she announced, "Ladies and gentlemen, this is fighting Shirley Chisholm coming through." Shirley Chisholm had her own unique style of campaigning. She said, "I have a way of talking that does something to people. I have a theory about campaigning. You have to let them feel you."
was my cry. Dark midnight was my cry. Dark midnight was my cry. Give me Jesus. Give me Jesus. Give me Jesus. This world. Give me Jesus. Comes to die. Oh, when I comes to die. Oh, when I comes to die. Give me Jesus. Oh, give me Jesus. Nobody but Jesus. This world. Give me Nobody but Jesus. But give me Jesus.
In the general election, Shirley Chisholm faced James Farmer, one of the prominent figures of the civil rights movement. He was co-founder of the Congress for Racial Equality and an organizer of the Freedom Riders in the early 1960s. Chisholm, whose campaign motto was "Unbought and Unbossed," highlighted discrimination against women and explained her unique qualifications. She said, "There were Negro men in office here before I came in 5 years ago, but they didn't deliver. People came and asked me to do something. I'm here because of the vacuum." Though the two candidates held similar positions on housing, employment, and education issues, they both opposed the Vietnam War. James Farmer was a Republican, and Shirley Chisholm was a Democrat. and more than 80% of the voters were registered Democrats. Shirley Chisholm won the general election by a resounding 67% of the vote. It was in his hands.
He's got the whole world in his hand. He's got the whole world in his hand. He's got the whole world in his hand. He's got the whole world in his hands. He's got the woods and the waters in his hand. He's got the woods and the waters in his hand. He's got the sun and the moon right in his hand. He's got the whole world in his hand. He's got the birds and the bees right in his hand. He's got the birds and the bees right in his hand. He's got the beast of the field right in his hand. He's got the whole world in his hands. He's got you and me right in his hand. He's got you and me right in his hand. He's got everybody in his hand. He's good in his hand. He's
Today is November 30th. Shirley Anita St. Hill Chisholm was born on November 30th, 1924. That's right. She was the oldest of 4 daughters of Charles St. Hill, a factory laborer from Guyana, and Ruby Seal St. Hill, a seamstress from Barbados. For part of her childhood, she lived in Barbados on her maternal grandmother's farm, while her parents worked during the Great Depression in Bedford-Stuyvesant. Her childhood consisted of a strict British education and warm summers spent with her grandmother in Barbados.
and the
In her 1970 autobiography, Unbought and Unbossed, Shirley Chisholm wrote, "Years later, I would know what an important gift my parents had given me by seeing to it that I had my early education in that strict, traditional British-style school, the schools in Barbados. If I speak and write easily now, that early education is the main reason. She remembered her grandmother as a woman who gave her strength, dignity, and love. She said, if I learned from an early age that I was somebody. I didn't need the Black Revolution to tell me that." When she entered the U.S. House of Representatives, she said, "I have no intention of just sitting quietly and observing. I intend to focus attention on the nation's problems." She did just that, lashing out against the Vietnam War in her speech on March 26, 1969. Chisholm vowed to vote against any defense appropriation bill until the time comes when our values and priorities have turned right side up again. She was here to help.
If I can help somebody,
In Congress, Shirley Chisholm worked for the causes she believed in. She sponsored increases in federal funding to extend the hours of daycare facilities and a guaranteed minimum annual income for families. She was a fierce defender of federal assistance for education, serving as a primary backer of National School Lunch Bill and leading her colleagues in overriding President Ford's veto on this measure. Shirley Chisholm fought for what she thought was right. She criticized the Democratic leadership in Congress as much as she did the Republicans in the White House. Oh, glory. She was not afraid to speak her mind.
Jesus, my all, to heaven is gone, to have home in glory. He whom I fix my hopes upon, to have home in glory. To have home in glory. His track I see, and I'll pursue, to have home in glory. The narrow way to him I view, to have home in glory. Oh, glory.
Shirley Chisholm declared her candidacy for the 1972 Democratic nomination for president, charging that none of the other candidates represented the interest of blacks and the inner city poor. At the Democratic National Convention, she received 10% of the total votes, a respectable showing given her modest funding. A 1974 poll, Gallup poll, listed her as one of the top 10 most admired women in America, ahead of Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis and Coretta Scott King, and tying with Indian Prime Minister Indira Gandhi for 6th place. But her presidential bid stirred controversy among her House colleagues. Chisholm's candidacy split the Congressional Black Caucus. You can prepare your mind for battle with your competitors, but oh, how painful it is when those who should be your friends turn against you. Precious Lord.
Precious Lord, take my hand, lead me on, let me stand. I am tired, I am weak, I am worn. Through the storm, through the night, lead me on to the light. Take my hand, precious Lord, lead me home. Precious Lord,
she knew she was right, Shirley Chisholm did not care what her colleagues thought. She felt that her visit to rival and ideological opposite George Wallace was the right thing to do when he was in the hospital after he was shot in May of 1972. At the time of the assassination attempt on George Wallace, Chisholm and Wallace were both seeking the Democratic nomination for president. Chisholm defended her decision to visit Wallace. She said, "I wouldn't want what happened to you to happen to anyone. There is a balm in Gilead to make the wounded whole. There is a balm in Gilead to cure a sin-sick soul."
Sometimes I feel discouraged and I think my work's in vain. But then the Holy Spirit, He revives my soul again.
George Wallace understood the risk Shirley Chisholm took when she visited him in the hospital and greatly appreciated the gesture. He later repaid the favor when Chisholm reached out to him for his support to extend the minimum wage coverage to domestic workers who were not included in the wage protections guaranteed by the original Fair Labor Standards Act. She said, many of the Southerners did not want to make the vote, but after Wallace intervened on her behalf, she said that members who had been opposed to the policy had had a change of heart and backed the bill.
Were you there when they crucified my Lord? Were you there when they crucified my Lord? Sometimes it causes me to tremble. Were you there when they crucified my Lord? Were you there when they nailed him to a tree? Were you there when they nailed him to a tree? Sometimes it causes me to tremble. Were you there when they nailed him to a tree? Were you there when the sun refused to shine? Were you there when the sun refused to shine? Sometimes it causes me to tremble. Were you there when he hung his head and died? Were you there when they crucified my Lord? Were you there when they crucified my Lord? Sometimes it causes me to tremble. Were you there when they crucified my Lord? Were you there when they crucified my Lord?
Shirley Chisholm did not win the nomination for the presidency, but she kept on fighting in Congress. Chisholm was dedicated to many causes. In fact, all of the staff members Chisholm hired for her office were women. Half of them were black. She was a founding member of the National Women's Political Caucus, and along with fellow New York Congresswoman Bella Abzug, introduced a bill to provide $10 billion in federal funds for child care services. A less expensive version, introduced by Senator Mondale, eventually passed the House and Senate, as well as the Comprehensive Child Development Bill, but it was vetoed by President Richard Nixon in December of 1971, who said it was too expensive and would undermine the institution of the family. Shirley Chisholm once told the New York Times, "I am the people's politician."
Lord, dear Lord, above, God Almighty, God of love, please look down and see my people through. Lord, dear Lord, above, God Almighty, God of love, please look down and see my people I believe that God put sun and moon up in the sky, and I don't mind the gray skies, 'cause they're just clouds passing by. Lord, dear Lord, above, God Almighty, God of love, please look down and see my people through.
When Shirley Chisholm ran for the presidency, her campaign was underfunded, only spending $300,000 in total. She also struggled to be regarded as a serious candidate instead of a symbolic political figure. She was ignored by much of the Democratic political establishment and received little support from her black male colleagues. But that didn't stop her. She later said, "When I ran for Congress, when I ran for president, I met more discrimination as a woman than for being black. Men are men. In particular, she expressed frustration about the black matriarch thing, saying, "They think I'm trying to take power from them. The black man must step forward, but that doesn't mean that the black woman must step back."
I am an endangered species, but I sing no victim song. I am a woman. I am an artist, and I know where my voice belongs. I am an endangered species, but I sing no victim songs. I am a woman. I am an artist. I know where my voice belongs. I am an endangered species, but I sing no victim songs. I am a woman. I am an artist. I know where my voice belongs. I am a woman. I exist. I shake my fist, but not my hips. My skin is dark. My body is strong. I sing of rebirth. No victim song. I am an endangered species, but I sing no victim song. I am a woman. I am an artist. I know where my voice belongs. They cut out my sex. They bind my feet. Silence my reflex. No tongue to speak. I work in the fields. I work in the stores. I type up the deals, and I'm off the floors. I am an endangered species, but I sing no victim song. I am a woman. I am an artist. I know where my voice belongs. My body is fertile. I bring life about. Drugs, seven and more. Take them back out. My husband can beat me. His right, they say. And rape isn't rape. You say I like it that way. I am an endangered species, but I sing no victim song. I am a woman. I am an artist. I know where my voice belongs. I am an endangered species, but I sing no victim song. I am a woman. I am an artist. I know where my voice belongs. Ooh, I know where my soul belongs. Ooh, I know where I belong. Ooh, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Shirley Chisholm was a dynamic trailblazer, a voice for the voiceless, a champion for her children, for all children and families, and a tremendous defender of social economic justice. After leaving Congress in January 1983, Chisholm helped co-found the National Political Congress of Black Women and campaigned for Jesse Jackson's political bids in 1984 and 1988. She also taught at Mount Holyoke College in 1983. Though nominated as U.S. Ambassador for Jamaica by President Clinton, Chisholm declined due to ill health. She settled in Palm Coast, Florida, where she wrote and lectured. She died on January 1st, 2005, in Ormond Beach, Florida. Shirley Chisholm was a woman before her time. On Monday, November 5th, 2018 in downtown Brooklyn, members of the congressional delegation announced a bill to honor Shirley Chisholm, who 51 years ago on that date was elected to Congress. They introduced a bill to award Shirley Chisholm the Congressional Gold Medal. She was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 2015 by President Barack Obama. A life well lived and a job well done.
Sweet Lord, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Oh, sweet Lord, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. I looked over Jordan, and what did I see? Coming for to carry me home, a band of angels coming after me, coming for to carry me home. If you get there before I do, coming for to carry me home, tell all my friends I'm coming for to carry me home. Sweet Lord, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Oh, sweet Lord, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me. Gonna ride up in the chariot sooner in the morning. Ride up in the chariot sooner in the morning. Ride up in the chariot sooner in the morning, and I hope I'll join the band. Gonna chatter with the angels sooner in the morning. Chatter with the angels sooner in the morning. Chatter with the angels sooner in the morning, and I hope I'll join the band. Oh, Lord, have mercy on me. Oh, Lord, have mercy on me. Oh, Lord, have mercy on me. And I hope I'll join the band. Gonna walk and talk with Jesus sooner in the morning. Walk and talk with Jesus sooner in the morning. Walk and talk with Jesus sooner in the morning. And I hope I'll join the band. Oh, Lord, have mercy on me. Oh, Lord, have mercy on me. Oh, Lord, have mercy on me. And I hope I'll join the band. Sing it, oh, Lord, have mercy. Oh, Lord, have mercy. Oh, Lord, have mercy on me. In the chariot,
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Executive Director of the Coalition for African Americans in the Performing Arts, Terry Allen.
Thank you, Jackie Gales Webb. And thank our dancers, led by Jonay Aiken. Let's give them a big hand, the CAAPA dancers. Cheryl Conway, Gwendolyn Anderson, Renee Peace Carr, Janice Aiken, and of course, Jonay. Let's give a big hand for our pianist and arranger, James Glover. James Glover. Come on out, James Glover. Let's give him a big hand. A wonderful arrangement that he did. There is a balm in Gilead. And pianist extraordinaire, Edmund Charles. Let's give him a big hand. Edmund Charles. And of course, our wonderful Long Island native like myself, Miss Jackie Gales Webb, radio personality. Wonderful job as our narrator. She brought the life and the legacy of Shirley Chisholm to life this afternoon. Jackie Gales Webb. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, our songbird. Our songbird. A wonderful soprano who, by the way, will be performing right here at the Kennedy Center, I believe in Porgy and Bess. The one, the only soprano extraordinaire, Simone Paulwell. Let's give him a big hand. Yes, brava. Now, if you've come to a CAAPA concert before, you know that we always take a teaching moment. Whenever the next time you go someplace and you hear a young man or gentleman perform and you want to give him accolades, you would say bravo. So for our two gentlemen, Edmund and James, let's give them a big bravo. And whenever you have a lady that's performing and you want to give her accolades and you want to clap and applaud for our soprano and our narrator, Simone and Jackie, let's say brava, brava. And if you want to applaud for an ensemble such as this, you would say bravissimi. So let's one more time, let's give a hand, bravissimi, to our CAAPA. I want to thank everyone, dear ladies and gentlemen. I want to give a special acknowledgement to Courtney Pringle, to our transportation company that we partner with, First Priority Trailways, and of course the Norman J. Fisher and the Doris Fisher Foundation. We thank them so much. We also want to thank the Kennedy Center staff. Let's give them a big hand. And all of our volunteers for CAAPA. And one more time, what are we doing? Bringing color to the classics. Thank you very much. Have a happy holiday, and God bless you all.